What the heck is a quad lock?
Watch this to find out.
Whether you're in the car, on the bike, on the water, in the air, your phone is an important tool. Keep it secure with Quad Lock.
Lando is like a race car with a small operating window. When you nail it, it's perfect. When you get it slightly out of the window, it's P nowhere.
I reckon Lando's already rattled himself, man.
Oscar's rattled him maybe. Feel like Max is the guy that will drop a comment every now and then that makes you doubt yourself.
Just to break him.
Just, you be playing paddleball or whatever the fuck they
Pickleball.
play. Pickleball.
Fucking good luck to me. Couldn't even get near him. Even if I was right on their bumper, they'd just walk away.
Try full throttle. Or braking later.
Maybe that's what I was doing wrong. You're supposed to be flat?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh no! He's in defence! They're both in defence! They're all in defence! Oh, unbelievable!
Sound check.
Sound check.
Cheers, Barbs.
Cheers.
This is, it's already been a fun podcast. If you'd love to have joined us early, like a few of our members on Patreon, jump onto our Patreon. I'll put the description in, the link, in the description of this video, and you can join us because we've just given away our first monthly giveaway from Z Motorsport Memorabilia, which was the Scafie and Lowndes 1998 HRT car. It was a piece of artwork in the background, a bit of memorabilia signed by both of those legends, and the next one we've got lined up there is the Ambrose giveaway.
Yeah, it's cool.
Pretty sexy looking car. But yes, we are back, mate, at the bar. It's kind of quite a good feeling. We put the Murphy pod out and it's been received really well. So all day today I was, I was pumped reading through the feedback we had, and I'm glad everyone's enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed the chat. And some of the comments were even saying that they wish it went longer or they would look forward to the second one. And we said the same. We ended it and we're like, fuck, we could sit there and talk to that guy all day.
It's the first one where we've actually had everyone saying they want it longer. Usually like, geez, you guys talk shit for too long. But Murph was talking, they were happy for it to go.
Yeah, it's hard to get you to shut up sometimes. So the pods just seem to drag on and on and on.
Yeah.
But this one's a little bit different because we've both travelled a bit recently. You went to the Bathurst 6 Hour and competed yourself in the Trans Am.
Yep.
I was then the week before that at New Zealand and missed another Grand Prix. So 2 Grand Prix. We did our first pre-brief and debrief for Formula 1 and then we missed 2.
And then just fizzled.
And yeah, exactly. So we're back here to talk a little bit about Formula 1 because we do have the first Australian in 15 years since his manager, mentor, Mark Webber was leading the world title. We've got Oscar Piastri now leading the world championship in Formula 1. So it's exciting times for Aussies. And we thought, let's touch on the season so far because I feel like they've just got their first opportunity to take a breath all year. They've had back-to-back rounds. They've already ticked off 5 events, including the Melbourne Grand Prix. So since then, to be in 4 different countries after being here in Australia is wild.
Since March, yeah.
It's nuts. So the next one they're at is in 5th of May at Miami, if you're interested. I saw one article. It's funny. It feels like Australia is sleeping on Oscar, but we literally are asleep. That's sort of the problem with Formula 1 in Australia. Once they go into these other events, it's often at a pretty inconvenient time of the night. So very exciting. Congrats to Oscar and the team there. But also, we're going to get into the 6 Hour, a little bit about the results.
Yep.
So let's start with that, mate. Bathurst 6 Hour, 73 cars competed, 50 finished, which apparently is quite a high ratio. I don't know. That seems like quite a few went out. And Cricky won with a final lap record. I thought that was really impressive, actually, to have Ojeda up his sphincter at the end of the race and both of them on I think it was 1 lap restart, 1 lap dash.
Yeah.
They both laid a heater and Cricky came across the line for the win, and a good mate of yours in P2 as well, sharing the car with Ojeda with Georgie in there, George Medicki.
Yeah, it was cool, like, because Cricky and Dean Campbell and the Beamer, they had a fuel pump issue in qual, so they didn't set a lap. So they actually started from 66 or something crazy.
Yeah.
And I think in a couple of laps, he'd already made his way up into like the top 12 or something. It was a wild drive from old camshaft. So that was cool. I actually went down to Robbo's. Anyone that's watched the Bathurst telecast, you'll see there's a bar at the Chase at one of the properties. That's a mate's joint, Robbo. So I went down there and watched some of the race with him because they're all the Cameron Crooks family and friends all hang out there.
Yep.
So I went down and watched, an hour or 2 of the race there with them and had a beer. So that was cool. So they were all pumped up for Cam. He's got a lot of support in Bathurst, Cam. So it was nice to see them get the win, especially from where they started.
That's crazy. Like 66
to
first is unreal. And Yeah, that is a good bunch of people on the side of Conrod there. I've watched Top 10 Shootout from there before, and they know how to have a good time, and certainly they're match fit when it comes to drink and piss, that's for sure. They are a great bunch of people to watch the Bathurst 1000 with.
I'm sure there's been many a reckless there, that's for sure.
That's for sure.
But, also, Dean's from Bathurst too, so the other driver that owns the car that Cricky races with, so that was cool for them, special for them to be locals and win that race. So pretty cool. Yep, shame for Georgie. George was second. They won it last year. They were trying to go for that car with Jaden and Simon that owns the car.
That's right.
They were going for a three-peat if they won it. So,
I mean, they did well then to come second at least for the third time. Like to be first, and second is not. They gave it a good nudge.
Yeah, they're a great little team. They run that thing faultlessly. It was just, I think the faster car won on the day. But that was pretty cool to sort of be watching that and on the Cam Crick car too, Ollie Boone, who's a young engineer from MSR, he engineered the thing, so he got his first win too as an engineer.
Oh, very good.
So it was pretty cool to see all that sort of stuff go down. So from my point of view, it was an exciting race. I think the safety car drive will be rooted though. I reckon he did more laps than anyone else. But
honestly, I'll be honest, I just struggle with production car racing. They're so quiet, and I watched quite a bit of the coverage across the weekend, and Trans Am's probably have some of the coolest sounding engines. Like you're on board. We put that in the Patreon chat, in the Patreon members group as well. The thing is screaming and it sounds amazing, but the live stream, I'm not sure what the deal was with this trackside audio, but it was terrible. And then trying to watch the 6 hour as well with just like road cars floating around. It's not. I find it quite hard to call it exciting. And I think they've gone nuts with the categories. Like I just don't understand.
The classes, yeah.
I put in here that they've got A1, A2, Class B1, B2, then D and E. I don't know if I've missed any in between, but I don't get it.
Well, what they need to do first, it sounds like, because the cars actually sound all right when you're there in the flesh, so maybe the broadcast team need to come and see Jans and we'll hook you up with some shawls or something, get some decent microphones.
Some good trackside. It is, I think it's live streamed there.
But
yeah, you're right. Maybe they do sound better in person, but to see a car go across Bathurst in pure silence almost is hard to appreciate just how quick they're going and how much they are on the edge, because it doesn't matter what you're driving around Bathurst, you are on the edge.
Well, and they are fast. Like, they're production cars on R-Spec tyres, not on slicks or anything. And they're doing...
Yeah, I think 19 was qualifying, 2 minute 19.
Down Conrod, I think some of those Beamers are just north of 280.
Yeah, okay.
So the Trans Am car, like my thing was only doing 269, 270. So they're...
With no
aero.
No aero, they'd be floating around all over the place.
You watch them standing at the chase, actually really cool because they come through and they're like the old V8 Ute days. They're up on the tyre and, it's hard. You can't actually really go flat through. They kind of got to lift off before it and skate through.
Right.
So they're definitely fast cars. It's really cool to watch in the flesh. But as you said, there's a lot of classes. So we just thought...
I've actually missed one as well. There's Class X.
Yes, which is outright. So I think it's a great race.
Would that not just be Class A? Why?
Well, just let me get into it, mate, would you?
Fuck's sake, get to it. It annoyed me trying to work out who won the thing.
But it's a cool race because the 6 hour now is still a race that you can... It's predominantly amateurs, as in amateur teams running. Yeah, there's a couple of pro teams running, some big money deals there and stuff like that. But it's still a race which I think is really cool. It's definitely got a place. That's why I think it's got 70 plus entries, because it's a race where you can grab a car within whatever class you want to race with some mates that want to drive it with you. They obviously have their competitors and have their license and stuff, and some crew to help you run it and actually go and race an endurance race at Bathurst. So it's a pretty good vibe around the pits and stuff, because you can see there's a big camaraderie there. A lot of the teams are just mates and friends helping out just to try and achieve this amazing goal of trying to win Bathurst.
Well, it's not cheap either. So to see 70 odd cars in a grid's a good effort from a lot of them.
No, that's right. It's not cheap. So, but I guess that's where the classes come in. So to your point, there's multiple classes.
Yeah, go on. Try and explain it. Simplify it for me, Barbs.
I will. But you're probably wondering they've got a price cap. You can't spend, the retail value of the car cannot be more than 140K. So that's why those Beamers and stuff just scrape in.
Okay.
So you can't spend more than 140K retail price from the dealership on a car. And then you got Class X, which is outright, which is ultimate performance. So that's things like your M2s, your M3s that were winning the race or on the podium. They're pretty strong. They're fast cars. They're turbocharged weapons. They're 280 plus down Conrod. That's sort of your hamburger with a lot. That's the outright class X. A1 is extreme performance. But that's things like
A1, you got turbo and supercharged.
Yeah, that's
Evo,
right.
A45.
So you've got your Evos and things like that. So they're forced induction. So turbo supercharged. I think there was a HSV supercharged that was in that class as well.
Okay.
Things like that. Your A2 is, again, your extreme performance, but
They just call them ultimate.
rear wheel drive.
They love They love the ultimate performance and extreme performance. They're
Correct.
both extreme performance, A1 and 2.
But A2's V8 naturally aspirated rear wheel drives predominantly, and A1, from what I read in their rules, I could be wrong, but they had it in their rules, they're predominantly all-wheel drives like your Evos and stuff as well.
Okay.
Right. B is your high performance, so 335s, XR8s, SS Commodore, things like that.
Finally got to B.
C is your hatchback, so things like the HSV Astra.
Yeah, yep.
But when we ran that was actually
would have
class,
won.
we were
So-
class E back then. So because we did so well, they've bumped it up to C, the old girl.
That's not fair. I mean, we would have won A1, A2, B, C, D, and E the year we did it.
Well, we did.
In a class E, we won it all. But
So that's C, sort of your hatchbacks, like, your HSV Astras, your Mini Cooper, your Rennet McGarn, things like that. D is basically now the 286 class.
right.
A lot of 286s in there, or BRZs. There's a couple of Mazda RX-8s that were in there, but I think the 86 was kind of the choice favourite for that one. And then you got E, which is your slowest car, so it's like a stock standard Mazda 3, things like that. So
Fuck, that'd be a long way around.
yeah, they're sort of doing, I saw some of the times, so the fastest time I think was sub 220. In the race, I think it was like a 2 minutes 22, might be the fastest lap in the race. And I think I saw the slowest one
I got the lap record in here.
was like 2:53 or something. So there's a
2 minute 21.8817 on the last lap, which
So-
did smash it, which was a 2:22.
Yeah, so 221, and then some of those cars are doing high 250s, things like that. So
Fucking hell.
there's a big difference, but I think that's why there's so many safety cars, because there's wild difference in driver performance and also car performance.
Yeah, that's big.
And traffic management, as I said, a lot of the guys and girls that are racing there, absolutely no disrespect, but a lot of them are what you would class as your amateurs, or, they're not professional racers.
Yeah, and it's actually unfortunate that the word amateur almost sounds derogatory, but there's only pro and am. Like the crazy thing is, Jaden Ojeda is effectively an am in terms of like because he's a silver, I think. He's not even a gold. So like when you put him in, he gets, with the GT stuff, he'll run as a silver.
Is he still silver? Because he's a factory
He's
Merc
silver.
now.
That's why.
Yeah, right. Okay, there you go.
So like, and that's the thing. It's not that bad to be classed as that. It just means there's obviously different levels. It's like, it's just their way of ranking people. Unfortunately, amateur sounds really bad, but there's actually some very good.
Oh, it doesn't mean they're
AMs.
slow or anything, but just, so I think that's what makes it exciting, though, because you got to be good at traffic management. And that's one thing when I was speaking to George Medici, that's his bread and butter, because he's done a lot of racing in production cars when he was coming up. And also he's done a lot of stuff in big grids where you have to pass cars and you have to be that traffic management. He's done a few 12 hours and stuff. And, he sort of gets in the middle of the day and does that hard stint where they just try and pass a lot of cars, because you have to do a certain amount of pit stops and things like that, CPSs throughout the day. So you're always coming back to the grid. And so that to me is like part of the fun. But so I actually would love to go and do a 6 hour. And I reckon we could get an AHU car going or something, Scotty.
That would be very cool. Someone's put in there was a Camry running. They thought it might have been me. Well, I hope everyone's enjoying the show. We want to give a quick shout out to our partners that make this possible. Start with East Coast Car Rentals. If you're in the market for a rental car, AHU 15 for 15% off already fantastically priced hire cars. Trico wiper blades. Barbs, if you're in the market for wiper blades, what are you going to buy?
Tricos.
if you
Absolutely.
And if you don't want to rent a car, you want to buy one, Lancaster Motor Group.
That's right. And if you go in and you mention Apex Hunters, you get a free wheel alignment. When's that till, Scotty?
End of June, I believe it is, this year. So if you get in and mention Apex Hunters, you don't mention our name specifically because
I won't know who you're talking about. But if you are one to hit the gutters, or your missus likes to hit the gutters in your car, mine's guilty of that too. Take it in, they'll give you a free wheel alignment, job done.
all the links to these websites will be in the description of this video. So Shaw and Partners as well, big supporter of ours are on the microphones, only fresh these ones. And Quadlock, the link there, if you're after any phone mounts, adapters, or a cover, you need a case for your phone. Action cam mounts as well. We smashed those. That we used them flat out at the Adelaide Motorsport Festival. Any of the vision
They're
that was
awesome
captured
too.
there
It's
was
so quick to just change them.
Well, that was the thing that I didn't realise. Yeah, you don't need to undo your GoPro mount anymore. They've got their own connector, so that's very fast. But if you can, support the partners that keep us alive. If you'd love to watch our podcast live, like some of our Patreon members, go over there and sub. Back to the show. And we love to put you on the spot, Barbs, but Flynn Johnson has asked in the Patreon, we probably didn't even say, we're still live streaming. If anyone's wondering who we're talking to here, we are still live streaming for our Patreon members. But Flynn has thrown in there, what are the rules to modifying the cars? So do you know, so you can spend 140, say, on the maximum one. What can you do after you receive the car?
Yeah, my understanding is the engine and like the transmission, all that stuff has to remain standard, or like you can obviously put different cooling systems and stuff like that on it, but you can't pull it apart and put $10,000 worth of stuff in the motor, is my understanding. You can obviously, turbos and things like that, I think, have a tolerance or how big they can go and things like that. But most of the stuff is around obviously safety, so roll cages, harnesses, seats, all that sort of stuff is obviously, they've now got Motec, data logging systems in them. Brake upgrades, suspension upgrades, and then wheels and tyres. So,
and what tyres do they run on?
They were on a Hankook this year, so they were on MRFs.
Is it a semi-slick?
R-Spec, R-Spec semi-slick. So whether it's rain or dry, they run the same tyre. So interesting too, the tyres was a real sticking point then. They were falling apart. So I was in George's pit for the last hour, and it was pretty nervous there for a bit because those lead cars, all the cars, were just tearing tyres apart. So it was pretty interesting who was actually going to last on tyres.
Yeah, right.
So it's a cool thing. I think it's just watching it, I thought it was great that we still have a race that you can just, if you got the funds to go and do it and you've got a bunch of mates that want to help you,
awesome.
You can go and swing spanners. And as you said, there was a Toyota Camry out there, that was doing its best, and that didn't run last. It's been there a few years now. It actually runs pretty competitively because they punt around all day. They just do a really solid job and end up with a good result at the end. So I think it's a really cool thing. I think it's definitely a place for
Dave. Sorry to cut you off. David Sullivan's thrown in there as well that one car went 6 hours straight without changing tyres. Pretty sure it was a Mustang.
Well, that's a pretty good effort, especially in a Mustang because they're heavy old girls. So
that is a good effort. Rear wheel drive, those things would have.
That to me is the car that you'd want to. To me, I'd want to do it in like an A2 car, like a Mustang.
Yep.
Manual Mustang, rear wheel drive, naturally aspirated, and just
slap some Hoosiers on it. Just not fast, just furious. Slap some Hoosiers on it.
Well, so Hoosier will go right.
It is. It is very cool. And like I said, we did it in a Class E car when we were learning the track, and I went and did it as
that was a 12-hour, but yeah.
Well, it was too actually, yeah. But that was still one of the most enjoyable weekends I've had was racing with you, and that's what a lot of these people are getting out of it as well. It's so unique to get to drive around the Bathurst circuit, and do it at whatever pace your car is capable of, and your limit is. You don't get to do that. Like that's one of the coolest tracks in the world, and even like the Nordschleife. When you go there on a public day, there's cars that are they're driving so slow. It's so dangerous. It's not like Bathurst. You get to go there for the 6 hour with your car, and I know a lot are still spending a lot of money, but that is the one weekend you will have an absolute blast. If you can get a car on track there for that weekend, it's going to be one of the most enjoyable weekends you can have.
And don't get me wrong, some teams are spending ridiculous amounts of money, but that's the cool thing about the class structure because you can just turn up with a Class C car, some mates.
Your objective to try and win your class.
And it not be that expensive. You spend as much or as little, as you want. And I thought it was really cool.
They should have a class like we have at SADA where you got to leave your car there on the end of the day. At the end of the day,
burn it out up the top of the mountain.
So that's like in the field. There's just a banger race at the back end. Call it Class X. That should be Class X to be honest. But that's your banger race at the back, and then it limits how much money you want to spend because, like SADA, you got to leave it there at the end of the day. So you're like, fuck, I don't want to spend too much, but I want to try and still win this thing. So you put a bid in, but enough you're prepared to lose the car, and see who wins that. That would be the race everyone watches. Yeah, honestly, that'd be the one, and that's probably the one I'd want to enter.
It's a cool race, and it's a real team event because I think they have to do like a mandatory 5 or 6 CPS stops in the day. You have to come in and do it. So it's a real team event. Your crew have to be on.
Yep.
Drivers have to do a good job. Obviously, the cars to last. So it was fun. It was fun to watch.
We did look at going through all of the results, but there's obviously
it's too many
podiums and class winners. But outright, obviously, congratulations. But congrats to everyone that did their bit and competed across the weekend. Now your weekend, Barbs, you're back in the Trans Am, and you've got a bit of a break now, which is
good.
I mean, is it though, or are you like? Because Darwin's your next event, isn't it?
Yeah, it is because there's quite short turnarounds between round 1 and round 2.
Right.
And obviously, for us doing it all ourselves, it just doesn't give much time to work on stuff.
Yeah, okay.
You're just fixing stuff, stickering stuff, going again. So
Yep.
nice to have a bit of a break, reset. It was not a bad weekend, mate. We ran the 100-year livery for sure, which looked cool. I
It
think
did look very good. There was a lot of people commented positively on that and said they like it.
Yeah, it was cool. So yeah, heaps of good crowd reaction and good reaction on the socials from it. So the Purple People Eater, or Grimace as I was calling it on the weekend, it looked great. So it was cool to celebrate 100 years of Shaw microphones. We ran number 100, so everyone was like, "Why aren't you number 75?" It was number 100 because
Yep.
we were celebrating 100 years for them.
Why are you number 75?
It was a number in carts. It was a number that it was actually a number that Max Dumsney ran when he ran the supercars for John Sydney Racing.
Yeah, okay.
And just with like a bit of
And you're a Dumsney fan, were you?
a bit of a tie
yeah.
there. Dad used to knock around with that team and stuff. I used to spend weekends like just rolling around the floor of John's workshop
Yep.
and stuff. So I think and I ran it in carts. And Max is involved with Hoosier, obviously. So we see Max every weekend. He's our tyre supplier. So I just thought, nice little nod to Max being in the pits and a bit of history there.
Yeah,
so
that's cool. Yeah, every drive. I was curious because I haven't actually asked you that before, and everyone has their own number.
it's not because there was a number 5 and a 7 already cut out. We just thought we'd change it.
Yeah, like Murph.
Like Murph with the 51. But
Actually, there was some disappointed fans in there thinking they really thought there'd be more to it than
I
that.
thought there'd be more than that, but Doug was just lazy. It was good.
Side note, Murph was a fucking legend on the he was great to have on. So if you haven't seen it already, go back. It was our last upload, 46.
6. Yeah.
And check that out. But what about? I got to ask. So it's pretty much riddled with Fords out there at the moment.
Yeah.
There's only what 2 GMs? I think.
I think no, there's more than 2, but I think
Well, there's only you two that do well.
Myself and Jared Hughes, who's a Super 2 and an Erebus co-driver.
But I got to ask: is there anything behind the Ford body?
I don't know, mate. We definitely sucked in straight line handling at Bathurst. Like I was,
Yeah.
losing 5/10 up Mountain Straight, second down Conrod on the other cars that were in front of us, which were all Mustangs. Whether it's body or engine related, I don't know. I've got to go back and do some homework now. I've got to put my thing on the dyno and work out what's going on. Like, is the engine
because it was a
down?
lot, especially that last sector. I mean, Golding did a very good lap on his pole, like his last sector. But yeah, we were talking in our AHU chat, like, is there? And Shane rang me even the other night, and he was asking me like, "Fuck, surely like, is there something in it? Because there's that many Fords now. It's like everyone switched to that body.
Yeah.
So it'd be
There's obviously something in it, mate. I mean, the only car I could get a tow with, and when I say tow, could just get a little bit close and not actually get up on him, was Jared in his Chev.
yeah, right.
The rest of them, though, fucking good luck to me. Couldn't even get near them. Even if I was right on their bumper, they'd just walk away. So, yeah, I don't know if it's body related or
Try
maybe
full throttle. Or braking later.
Maybe that's what I was doing wrong. You're supposed to be flat.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I even told Shane, like, it's just not funny. Like when you're dealing with something that you know there's a problem. And like I said to him the other day, like I was genuinely angry. Like when you say, he said to me, I think, have you tried full throttle? And it just wasn't the time. You know, you've had a weekend where you're like, you're struggling in a straight line or something and someone says something so fucking obvious.
It's pretty depressing when, like, quali, I actually thought I did a decent lap. And I was like, there's not much left over the top. Like, to me, like, I'm getting near the walls.
Yeah.
Okay, there's maybe a tenth or two or something, like, but there's not a lot.
No, it looked good. And we did put it up online for Patreon. Like, it was a good lap. Well, both of them, first and second lap.
And then you come across and you're like, cool, where are we? Oh, fuck, 8th, okay. Oh, what's pole? Maybe we're 6-7 tenths off or something. It's just really
So
tight.
1 point.
1 point, whatever it was ridiculous. And I'm just like, you just get deflated. You're like, fuck, man. Like,
but even if you go, I made a mistake, you'd be... I remember once like Scotty Mack got pole at Winton and it was pole by like half a second.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like, fuck, it doesn't really matter how good someone is. Put 5/10 on the field at that level. Something's out of your control. Like you can't just brake deeper or those gaps. You start looking at big gaps. Like, 1.5 or whatever it was to Goldie.
Huge.
But, and that's only across like 7 cars. You start to think, fuck, like,
Yeah.
you can't just make that up. Even if you make a mistake, you dump 7/10 at a big mistake.
Yeah.
Like it's not like, and watching the lap, you're like, that's pretty good lap. Like,
Yeah, so that was a little bit deflating. It's just a little bit frustrating. Like, to be honest, we had a good weekend. We finished 4th of the round. We were 4th and 6th over the 2 races. If you'd said that to me going into the weekend, I'd take it.
yeah. And to be honest, pace in the race looked pretty good.
Yeah, it's just
Like, I know that there was a couple that went out, but it didn't look like it looked like you were hanging in there, and it wasn't like big gaps like qualifying. It did sort of look like everyone came back to you a bit there.
I think just for us extracting the green, maybe we just didn't have a setup that really turned that green on. I'm not sure, but yeah, it was just a little bit frustrating. But yeah, with the straight line handling stuff, we got some homework to do, man. Like I just got to go it's a controlled class, and I've always wondered why are people spending so much time on a dyno when everything is controlled.
Right.
But there's obviously stuff in it because Mate, some of these guys are on the dyno all the friggin' time. I haven't had my car on the dyno once because like, well, it's controlled. What can I do? Nothing. So there's obviously stuff going on. But
are the engines sealed?
everything's sealed, ECU, engine, everything. Every part that you buy for a
So
Trans.
how do they?
So that's why I'm always like, well, what are they doing? Just running the things in or whatever. But there's obviously something in it. So we've got to go scratch our heads a bit, do some homework, because a few people come up to me over the weekend and said, oh, there's stuff in engines and there's this and that. And if you get an engine from here, it's got this much horsepower, you got an engine. Like, so, yeah, there's obviously a deficit across the field. They're obviously not all apples with apples. So we just got to go and work out what's going on, because the next round for us is Darwin and the straight's a kilometre long. So I'm like, I don't really want to turn up and have like a 5, 6, 7, 10th deficit, you know.
Yeah, you need to sort that, mate.
So, but
What about wind tunnel? You got one of those? Get it in that.
well, that's the thing. They've been in the wind tunnel in the States, but their cars are different in America. Like they're on a different chassis. And
Yeah,
stuff.
okay.
Like, so again, it's not apples with apples. And they come out and said, oh, some have this and some have that and some have, so yeah, it's a little bit frustrating because I would love to see the bow tie Iglesias be able to fight for a podium every weekend. And the field is so competitive now. So I'm not just whinging that the cars, like it's a competitive field. Like you got supercar guys in
It's
there.
very competitive, yeah.
Professional teams. So I'm not saying we should be further than what we are. I think we're maximising kind of what we got, but I still want more.
Of
And
course,
I still think I can give more, or we can be closer. Like, you know, if Jared's struggling and he's a supercar driver, you know, then we're obviously going all right.
He's doing the Enduros as well, isn't he, this year?
Yeah, with Eris.
Yeah,
So, and he's driving heaps. So, you know, and he's a good driver. So,
Yeah, I'd be curious. There's a lot of Fords. And someone's put in the chat, Chris Raffalo, is there a Toyota next year, TA2 body?
So in America, they've brought it out. I don't know if we're going to be allowed to run it here in Australia. Hopefully we are, because it would make sense with Toyota coming in supercars if we can run
That would be good.
all three manufacturers that are represented here in Australia. So, yeah, if they are, I mean, that'd be a cool thing. It looks pretty cool.
And what about the roof coming down on the back of cars? I thought that was ruled out.
Yeah, it is. I think there's a technical thing going on at the moment.
Because I sent you a photo
Yeah, I sent
of
it.
one of them and the roof was collapsed at the boot.
Oh, it was sucked right down, like right down.
Who was it? It was, we can say who it was, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, no, that was Hearn's car.
Yeah, that's it.
Had the roof going on.
And it was fucking like,
Yeah, on the telecast, it was huge. You could see it massively.
Massive.
So I don't know what's going on there, but I mean, that got found out a couple of years ago.
and then they changed the rule though that
and
you
the
weren't allowed to
So the roof stays sometimes, and it can create that.
make them out
So
of plastic cable ties.
yeah, so I think the category we're going around checking a heap of stuff on the weekend with stuff like that. So I mean, they were aware that one of the roofs was getting sucked down pretty hard. It does make a big difference. So I'm sure they looked into it, or I don't know what come of it, but I'm sure they looked into it and they were checking all the cars. So they're doing the best they can, but it's just a little bit frustrating sometimes that it seems like I thought maybe it was just guys were doing a better job and teams were doing a better job, but I think now it's just quite obvious that there's something that's maybe not, it's not all aligned.
Yeah.
So-
And it's, I mean, once you get these people involved as well, like they're
They're maximising.
competing at a high level
Yeah.
anyway outside T8 at a Trans Am.
Yeah.
They're going to bring that same level of competition. It's like when Triple Eight started modifying and making parts for the XLs back in the day. Like you had to have a Triple Eight built XL almost to be competitive. So they're doing something.
Oh, there's 10 or 15 cars in our field that every day of the week they've got someone really, really good at what they do, working on that car and how to make it go faster. So yeah, they're maximising stuff, and that's
We need to grow the podcast so you can just do that in your spare time and do the pod.
you reckon?
Yeah, tell Jen Dog, sorry, mum, I'm out of the family business now. We're doing podcasting and I'm working on the Trans Am.
There you go. But
We're going to win Darwin.
overall, we were happy. Car came home straight. Just needs a sticker on the side and a service.
Was the last race for points or did that get called?
No, I think they gave us point. It was weird, man. I think we did like 2 racing laps or something.
Yeah, so there was for those listening, there was
Red flag.
was it oil down though at the dipper because
Oh, and it was a hot like from the skyline.
fuck, it was weird the way people were crashing. They were like locking rears and turning away from the corner.
Dude, I was so glad. I guess that's where like, you know,
Experience.
yeah, experience pays. Like raced at Bathurst a lot, and you know that the precautionary lights, you know, across the top came on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, like I was in a bit of a battle, and I was having to come back because I got punted off at the start.
Yeah, actually, yeah, you got really.
I got
fucked at the
rooted
start.
on that. So I was
You were
like,
fourth on the race start.
Yeah,
and then someone made it 3 wide down the inside, and you got escorted on the exit. And I saw you were 15th at the end of lap 1.
mate, I was on the. By the time I rejoined, I was like, fuck, I think I'm almost 40.
I don't even know how. I think Whincup lost less places when he did a 360 and rejoined.
Oh, it was terrible. But yeah, so for those that are listening at Bathurst, they've got like precautionary lights that will come on across the top of the mountain to let you know that there's an incident somewhere. It doesn't tell you where it is, but it's just saying, hey, heads up, there's something that's going on. So I guess, lucky that my experience there, I was like, I'm just going to button off 5-10% here because it's Sunday. It's the last race of the weekend. People usually do dumb shit. I'd already been carded wide at one, so I'm like, people are like
aggressive,
going hammer and tong. I'm like, it's going to be a shunt or something. And luckily, as I come behind, there was a battle pack of 3 or 4 in front, left a bit of a car gap over Skyline, and straight away I could see the oil, and everyone's just going into the fence.
Yeah.
So luckily I was able to find a gap and weave my way through, and it was slippery, like the whole way through, all the way to the elbow,
It looked bad, yeah.
It felt like you're driving on ice, and I was like, holy shit. So that was lucky that I guess I acknowledged the precautionary lights and thought, let's just button off a little bit. Because
experience does prevail in those moments. I think Jordan Cox, I'm not sure what he's done, but you could see like he'd hit the wall.
Oh, big time, yeah.
And then tried to just press on.
Yeah.
He hit the wall hard too and went just full throttle down towards the elbow. Thing broke and he royally ended his day.
Yeah.
But it's and down that part of the track, it's actually funny because a lot of people see those moments as opportunities to try and make places. But down the hill, you can't pass. So if you see that kind of thing, the best thing you can do is, and as you get older, you go through, you make those mistakes and you come down the hill and go, no one's passing me here. Like I'm going to shut it down and just get through this bit and come out the other side.
Yeah, like the top's actually a place where you can have a bit of a rest in the race because even if you don't have car speed, like, well, they can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
But so that was, I was just lucky that we got through that unscathed. So that was good. So the car's back in one piece. We can now actually, rather than fixing stuff, we can go and try and tune now and find some speed. So it was a solid weekend. Boys did a great job.
Well, 4th and 6th, and especially after you got escorted off, is a good weekend, really.
Yeah.
So good job, mate. And then we got a bit of a break till Darwin, like you say, so you can catch your breath.
Yeah, I'll have the week off this week and not even go near the workshop or the car, and then go hard from next week on and get everything sorted, I guess. But it was good, mate. Like it could have been a heap worse. Could have been, but you know, it's like we're competitive people, and you just go,
Yeah, I know.
I felt like I kind of didn't have any, like I was max, but I just wasn't happy, if that makes sense. So it was frustrating, but bittersweet, I guess.
And then Moff's move was pretty tidy down into the elbow. Fuck.
A few apex denials through the field, I think.
There was quite a few, and I just filmed it off my TV. I was sitting on the coffee table and I filmed it and uploaded it, and I thought it was the perfect apex denial, and then the rejoin from from
Charlie Nash, is it?
Nash Morris did the rejoin into Charlie Nash, just like
teammates too.
Oh fuck!
And I think it rooted, like that was a hit.
It was a big hit.
That would have done some damage.
So there was it was just a cluster of shit going wrong there that lasted a good 30 seconds.
Well, what caused that oil thing on the Sunday was someone got apex denied hard at Skyline. Someone just, I think, Des Collier, who I drive with in the TA2 races, turned into Sky, and someone just did a desperate and just shunted him hard into the fence, and he split all his oil cooler and stuff. That's what dropped all the oil. So there's a few apex denials going on through there. But I got out of the car and saw you'd already put one up on it. And I'm like, that's pretty funny. They're going to be wondering who's doing this.
It's like 170 or 180,000 views on Facebook of this. Like I felt bad for Moff because it was just, it was textbook. It showed his experience, and he nailed Morris perfectly, spun him around, and but there was a lot of shit going. There was too much on there wasn't really it was nothing like Apex Hunter Denial-esque on Sunday, but there was just a lot of mistakes happening up and down the lane, which is pretty funny to watch.
Yeah, we didn't do a lot of laps over the weekend, so it was a little bit of that's the other reason why I think it's a bit bittersweet.
Actually, Andrew Day, are you able to post the lap? Can we share that with the people? Have you got the onboard from the race? Oh, they've kept the cards, haven't they?
I don't have my stuff from the Sunday because we have to now hand in our SD cards, and I didn't download it in time. But when I get it back, we can put it up for sure, yeah.
So we'll drop that in the Patreon if anyone wants to watch that lap where the shit was going on through the Trans Am race and the oil was down. Let's get in the F1, mate. But great job, mate. Good luck at Darwin. But pretty cool. We got an Aussie leading the World Championship. And I've honestly, mate, even the bookies, it's in favour of him now.
Is it?
He is favourite for the World Championship, and I think it's hard to go against Oscar because he is just rock solid. He doesn't, I saw a meme the other day of him when he wins and when he loses, and the facial expressions are just the same. He's rock solid, and he's qualifying at the moment that's been the difference.
Yeah. So he's now the favourite, is he, mate? Because someone
favourite.
Bathurst told me early in the season, might have been before round 1, he put money on, like $10 on, and Oscar was paying like 300 to 1 or something.
Yeah, he was not favourite at the start.
He's looking to cash in on that, I reckon.
Yeah, I wonder what. Yeah, there'd be a few people I reckon that would make a buck off that. But I mean, he was always a good bet.
Of course, yeah.
But there was just this hype around Lando. Like even Zach Brown came out and said, we've had the Senna era, the Schumacher era, and now we're entering the Lando era. And it's like, man, like I think, he said he did acknowledge the Verstappen era as well. But I think it's a big call to go in and say that Lando, I mean, he's fast, but he hadn't really shown. And I think if anything, he'd probably shown that he wasn't consistent enough yet to enter the Lando era. But he's clearly quick enough. He just needs to put it together.
Well, we've chatted about too. I think mentally, I reckon Lando's already rattled himself, man. Like you've even said to me.
Well, Oscar's rattled him maybe.
Yeah, but I think, and then he just seems like some of the quotes he comes out saying, you wouldn't say it about yourself. Like,
I know. It's that mentality of like, he's putting himself down. I know it's good to be hard on yourself. Like I think that Charles went through that a little bit when he crashed in qualifying at Baku one year. He was on for a crazy lap for pole.
Yeah.
And he kept calling himself an idiot. And, okay, like I think there's an element where you do want to be self-critical because that's where you find the most improvement.
Right, yeah.
But I think it's got to the point where he's just down on himself. He's not actually like even analysing. Like he said, where's the problem? And he just sort of went right here. It's like everything here, not the car. It's me. And that's a shame because that's when you start to, I feel like it's got to the point where he's not actually analysing the mistakes and going, okay, let's make the most of a Sunday. He's just getting down and depressed about it, which doesn't seem like the best way to go and find performance or improve. And Oscar's going to capitalise on that. Like Mark.
Well, he's got someone in his corner where...
And Webber's so competitive and ruthless.
Yeah.
He'll be telling Oscar, now's your time to sink your teeth in.
Yeah.
Like,
Finish him.
Yeah,
yeah.
You've got your foot in his throat.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of Mark's strengths to get to where he did in Formula One, and I mean like the junior categories and to make it through. And I know that people like Juan Pablo Montoya through F3000 was just ruthless. And I've heard of people that like even with Lowndes being teammates with him, I think he was just a ruthless competitor, and you had to be to get to F1. And people like Mark have taken some people out at the knees before, I'm sure, to get to where he did. And he'll be saying to Oscar right now, you've got them where you want them, and just keep going about your business. And I do feel like it has broken Lando. Publicly maybe it's good to see him show emotion, but I think maybe internalize some of it and analyze what you could do better and maybe come out and just execute rather than beat yourself up publicly, because the headlines are not doing him any favors. Someone compared him to Andy Murray, where there was a period before he got a new coach where he was just publicly saying, I'm just not good enough. I'm not doing a good job. Yeah. His coach was like, stop saying this in the public, because you see the headlines then and it makes you feel worse.
Yeah.
Keep it to yourself, analyse your mistakes, and
or even
move
worse,
forward.
You'll say something negative about yourself and then people will agree in the comments. You'll be like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like if
you're convincing yourself.
If you're fishing for, I don't know, people to pump you up, it's the wrong way to go about it. Because people will just bring you down.
Yep. And so Max as well, just I put in the quality notes and I'll jump ahead to it. But one of the things that I noticed going through the first 5 events this year, he's Q3. So in Q1, Liam Lawson was an average over the first 2 events that he was only in for. It was about a second off Max in Q1. Yuki's closed the gap to half a second on average. At Japan, he actually equaled him in Q1.
Right.
But Max, when it comes to Q3, finds another gear, and he's put a second on Yuki as an average in qualifying in Q3. So he is actually performing so well in that car to still now, he's 3rd in the championship. And he's only 2 points behind Lando. He's polled 2 Grand Prix already, and I think if it wasn't for the 5-second penalty, I mean, even Oscar acknowledged he probably would have won that race. He doesn't think Oscar said, I don't think I could have passed Max in Saudi Arabia because the aero wash was so bad. So he's putting himself in a position where I think he's outperforming the car. I still think he is. I think I know it's a hard car to drive, but I still think Max is putting it in places it shouldn't be. Yeah. And he's going to be a title contender still for this entire season. I don't think
you'd have to be a peanut to rule out Max. I mean, okay, the car's not the fastest, but he's probably the fastest driver.
Yeah.
And he's the most ruthless racer. So you would never count him out in a million years. I don't think.
I bet Max,
regardless of the car.
I bet Max is the guy as well. You know, and they're good mates like him and Lando. I feel like Max is the guy that will drop a comment every now and then that makes you doubt yourself.
Just to break him.
just you be playing
shit him.
paddleball or whatever the fuck they
Pickleball.
play. Pickleball.
Yeah.
And I feel like you just drop a comment every now and then.
Yeah.
And I see it with Will and Brock. Like, every driver does it. You find a weak point, you make a joke. Like, at the moment, the biggest thing for Will would be to say, let's do a race run instead of, because qualifying, Brock seems to have the edge. But then Will is beating him in the race run. So the way to diffuse someone's confidence and say, take it away from him is like, well, let's do a race run,
Address a weakness.
Exactly. And I bet they're mates, but people will be head fucking Lando. And I think it's, it's going to be hard for him. He needs to have a few runs in qualifying where he really nails it and it looks like he's turned a corner. But George Russell is another one. So for the championship, I'll go through the top 10 quickly, but Oscar P1, Lando P2, then Max, George Russell, Charles Leclerc, Kimi Antonelli 6th, which I think is a great job to split the Ferraris.
Oh, yeah.
And then Lewis 7th, who's having a mare. Alexander Albon is 8th, Esteban Ocon 9th, Lance Stroll 10th.
Strolly.
And I think it's only going to be a matter of time until Sainz breaks into the top 10. He's down in 15th, but he seems to have
grabbed a gear.
grabbed a gear and turned a corner. I think that he's doing a good job. One quick shout out, because we will do a bit of a teammate analysis, but I think it's worth jumping into because Liam has copped a hiding. He did out-qualify Isaac Hadjar in the last Grand Prix and he got beat but was within a second at the end of the race. So I think that's, if he can get on top of it in that car, it's what he needs to do because I saw that Arvid Lindblad won in GP2, F2, now they call it. So the pressure's going to be on at the end of the season. If he doesn't close the gap or turn the tables on Isaac Hadjar, they'll make a switch with Liam, I reckon. I think he'll obviously finish the year. Yeah. But it was good to see Liam turn the tables on Isaac and hopefully, that's the first step towards getting some confidence back because, the Red Bull's ruthless, so they will. And
Red Bull have confirmed that Yuki's done for the rest of the year in that car, haven't they? I think I saw something. So there's not going to be any change at Red Bull. So, Liam just needs to head down, ass up.
Exactly, the gap between Yuki and Max, like I said, in Q3 is, I think it was 9/10 at the last Grand Prix in Q3 and 1 second at the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. So it's still a big gap, but he's making it to Q3, which is the most important thing. They need him to be scoring points. Last Grand Prix, he did shunt with Gasly on lap 1.
He did shunt, I saw it,
So that wasn't ideal, but he was in a decent qualifying position, and then Gasly went around the outside.
Just grabbed the wheel.
Grabbed the wheel. And interlocking wheels and open wheels. That's just
I need to change the rims, mate.
They
this is tin top racing. Oh no, it's not. It's open wheels.
Fuck, they need to be able to door bang in Formula One.
What do you think of Max's first lap penalty?
I think
because that obviously set the race up.
It did. Yeah, I think the penalty you have to. The way the rule is, the penalty was justified.
Yeah.
What I don't agree with is the rule itself, where if you're ahead at the apex in Formula One, you get the corner. And it means and it's fine to say that like you have the right to the corner, if you're ahead at the apex, but you should not be able to just unwind the lockdown and drive straight to the exit curb. And that's what's happening. So what Max did was he peeled off the brakes. So the photo that Christian Horner was seen with after the race, arguing his point, is that Max is ahead at the apex or just after the apex. But the reason he is because of that rule. All he's done is peel off the brake and make sure he has his nose in front, and then he's trying to say, well, we would have made the corner or we were in front, so it's our corner.
There's no how did you get ahead.
Yeah.
To just go back to full throttle. Of course you're going to be ahead and just blow through the corner. But
So, and I think if they change the rule, like every other category where you provide racing room on the exit, you can't just, and it is happening in supercars, like Brody saying, there was the Taupo incident with Brody and Woody and then Chaz, and there's the debate about the exit room. I think that's the reason it's a conversation is because you want cars to be able to go corner to corner, side by side, and race door to door or wheel to wheel in Formula One. But the way the rule is, it actually encourages you to peel off the brake,
just
roll through the apex, and then just drive straight to the exit curb. And if someone tries to stay on your outside, they get a penalty for staying there because they gain an advantage.
Because the rule doesn't state that you have to be ahead of the apex and maintain on the circuit, right?
Well,
it just says you have to be ahead of the apex, and then if you fucking are off the circle on the exit, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it says I was ahead of the apex. You drove me off the track. So they're all just racing to the apex.
Yeah.
But it should be, I believe, the rule should still be that you've got to provide racing room on the exit of the corner, regardless of if you're ahead or not.
And especially if there's overlap, you need to provide racing room.
Yeah, and especially if the racing is just, I love F1, but the racing's fucking terrible. If it wasn't for DRS, there's no overtaking anyway. So we need to try and encourage that they go wheel to wheel for multiple corners rather than this race to the apex and then drive each other off and then just insert single file again.
There's nothing cool than seeing, two open wheelers side by side where their wheels are tucked in, but they're not obviously grabbing with, like, there's nothing, because you know how close they are to a disaster. That's why we love Formula Ford, right?
Yeah. And it stops anyone hanging on the outside and actually creating a racing pass. Like, I think it would be really cool if Oscar had to provide racing room, because they would have just braked a bit earlier and Oscar could have made the, like, of course, Oscar's like not able to provide racing room because he went in so deep. But if you
follow each other in,
if you had to provide racing room on the exit, you would bring your entry back. Max would have been able to, even if he's only hanging on his rear wheel, he would have tried to stay on the outside and have the inside for two.
Yep.
But then he equally has to provide racing room for Oscar. So it carries on corner to corner and you end up with great racing. And at the moment, so I don't have a problem with the penalty. The way the rule is, had to get a penalty. I think.
Yeah, because he took the piss. And that's what they've said about Max the whole time. He knows the rule. He plays the rule really well.
Yeah.
So he does things like bleed off or whatever he's got to do to be ahead at the apex, regardless of whether he's still on the track or not. So,
but it was consistent with Lando's penalty last year in Austin.
Yeah.
Where he was on the outside and gained an advantage and they gave him a 5-second penalty. I just don't like the rule. And I love F1, but the racing is shit. And if you want to make it better, I think that rule doesn't help it.
No.
And I think it's probably one of the only categories. It's like, if you're ahead at the apex,
it's a shit rule.
Like, could you imagine supercars, if you just were ahead at the apex, you could just go straight to exit curb?
It's a shit rule, especially considering it comes from FIA that are meant to be like, safety and racing conscious. It just creates, it's bizarre, yeah.
And
it's like, who came up with that? Have they ever raced a car?
Like,
clearly not. Probably some guy that's never raced a car.
It makes no sense to just get down the inside, peel off the brake and be like, wow, I was ahead at the apex. Old mate makes his own arrangements now.
Oh, the apex is the middle of the corner. So let's just say if you're ahead by then, it should be yours.
Yeah. So the debate is not the penalty, I don't think.
Champ.
I think the debate should be the rule. Oscar versus Lando, 3 out of 5 race wins for Oscar. Lando's obviously still had a good season. And I think the crazy thing is, if Oscar hadn't made a mistake, and this is where McLaren are going to be in trouble, like at the Melbourne Grand Prix, they should have told both drivers to take a 1-2. But they let Oscar pressure Lando, and ultimately they both made a mistake.
I was wet.
Oscar came off worse.
Yeah.
But they should have said, okay, we've got the 1-2 and a gap to Max. Let's take it. And Oscar finished 9th at the Oz Grand Prix. But his results after that are first, third, first, and first. And it's like, I mean, unbelievable season. And that's where that might be the only result throughout the year that he looks back at and wishes he just kept it on the black stuff and took second that day. You never want to lose.
It might also be the thing that's fired him right up.
Yeah, possibly.
Like what Michael Jordan said, his teammate, someone said something to him again, he said that's all he needed, and then he was just on.
Yeah.
That might be the thing where he's gone, I've just stuffed up at my home GP when I could have potentially been on the podium or won it.
And every driver does learn from a mistake, and unfortunately you have to make them.
Yeah.
So, coming off when he was second, maybe he will look at that and go, okay, actually that day I should have taken second. And he does seem like the person that doesn't go in the press and slam himself. He like Lando does. He does internalise and analyse, I think.
But now, because he had that shit result, he's now like, I need to win. Like, I think that's what's made him go hell for. Like, he's going to win a shitload of races, I reckon, this year, because
he's done 85 or 89 less Grand Prix than Lando.
He's nearly 10%. I think he's done 50-something GPs, 53 GPs, and he's won 5 or something. So he was like 9.8% win ratio.
Yeah, right. But he's equaled Lando for wins in Formula One, and he's done 89 Grand Prix less.
Well, I think Lando was like 3%.
Yep.
And Oscar's almost 10% for win ratio.
Yeah, right.
So it's a good, I saw that the other day. It's not a
good
bad
stat. It's a pretty good stat. And qualifying, it really has come down to qualifying. And I still think Lando is, and I might be wrong, it was just going into the season, I felt like Lando is faster over a lap. But Lando is like a race car with a small operating window. When you nail it, it's perfect. When you get it slightly out of the window, it's P nowhere. And Lando's qualifying first, 6th, 2nd, 6th, 10th. Like that.
He's rattled, mate. I've called it early.
And then you've got, you look at Oscar's 2nd, 1st, 3rd, 1st, 2nd.
Do you reckon if
the guy's a robot?
Do you reckon if McLaren had a second team, Lando would be bumped to that?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think when you got, I feel like Zach Brown is kind of the Mark Webber for Lando. So I don't know that would ever happen. But Lando is still, I do think over a lap when he nails it and he's in the window.
Yeah.
I think he's, I don't know. I don't want to say he's quicker, but because
We're going to be biased. We're Aussies. We would
but I'm saying I think Lando's quicker over a lap.
Yeah.
But the results at the moment don't really show that. I just don't think Lando's been able to put it together.
Is that because the mental thing's coming in?
I think so.
Like, we know he's an amazingly quick
Yeah, I think
driver.
operating at high confidence and when he nails it, he's very fast. But yeah, anyway, it's going to be an interesting battle. I don't know how McLaren's going to handle it, but we'll get to the point. If Oscar keeps delivering, they will make him the number one driver at the end of the year like they did with Lando last year. And that's, as an Aussie, a pretty exciting prospect to be looking down the window, the whatever of.
Yeah, here's another thing, because we love just breaking news months in advance, Apex Hunters. If
Brad Jones is to Toyota, by the way.
that's happened, that's done.
It's done. If anyone's wondering.
I drove past Albury in the truck the other day, saw a heap of Toyotas out the front of the workshops.
Yeah, they've all got Corollas. Actually, I had a Toyota Igo once in that thing was like a 1 litre. Had it in Paul Ricard. I heard that's their company cars.
You're taking me off track here, but I'm
on.
going to get back on track to F1 World. Do you reckon if, let's say we get close to the end of the year and Oscar's got a handy lead over Lando,
Yep.
does Lando stay or does he start shopping around? Like, is
No, Lando stays.
do you reckon he'd be happy to be number 2?
Well, he's on a long contract anyway, very long contract with McLaren.
But we've seen that in the past with
He's
drivers that don't want to be labelled a number 2.
He's not a number 2 though. That is one thing that
Well,
they have. They've got 2 great drivers.
If he's finishing second champ, then he is. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but he's not a number 2 in the outright speed. Like when he nails it, he's as quick or quicker.
But have we seen the best of Oscar yet? I don't think so.
Maybe not. I don't know. You're a big. I get it. I
I'm
agree.
Australian, so I'm going to be biased.
I agree with you, but I think that
The rest of F1 broadcast is so Lando and British that we've got to be the opposite, mate.
Yes, I just don't see. No, I think Lando is he's McLaren through and through, and he is as good as an Oscar and a Max. He's just not putting it together, and he may only be as good in terms of lap speed and never mentally as strong or as good as the other guys. And I can't comment on that because I'm not Lando. Lando might feel like a superstar and shit's just not working for him at the moment. But from the outside, yeah, maybe he won't. I think what's exciting is our Aussie driver with Oscar seems like we might have a Prost, a Verstappen in our country. Like we might have someone that is rock solid mentally.
We've got it, yeah.
And I mean, because even with Ricciardo, he was exciting and he won the odd race and was you know, when he came into Formula One, he obviously dominated against Vettel. Like he did beat him and turned the tables there. But then Max turned up quickly and it was like, okay, we're on the back foot here. I feel confident that Oscar is a guy that is one of the best we've seen in Formula One for a very long time. And I think that's really exciting as an Aussie.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
And he's from Melbourne.
Yeah. And his dad has listened to our podcast. I mean, we've pretty much made it.
He's probably in our Patreon members here. Actually, he's just written us something. No, it's cool. But yeah, what about Lewis and Charles Leclerc?
So I did put in there that Lewis has finished behind, with the exception of the sprint race, Lewis has finished behind Leclerc in every single race. The consistency at the last Grand Prix was the biggest issue. There was laps where he did do the same lap time as the leaders, and then there were laps where he was just miles off. So he's the possibility of him being quick in that car is there, but he's not putting it together. And at the end of the Grand Prix, the last one in Saudi, he was 31 seconds behind Leclerc. Of course, when you're a little bit further in the pack, that you can't not take into account traffic, but field spread in F1 so big. He was P nowhere. Lando passed him, drove off, and Leclerc got a podium. So I think it's been sad because I was quite excited. I think it was good for Formula One to have a change. But I think it's disappointing as a fan that he's not delivering. Yeah, that Chinese Grand Prix where he won the sprint race was a glimmer of hope. And then Sunday, it was like he totally forgot. He was the who forgot list, and his teammate beat him with a front wing that was half hanging off.
Yeah, I got pumped up with that. When I saw him win the sprint race, I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Like as I said, fans, you would have to love if Lewis come out and started winning races, and the reality of that happening was never going to be high, I don't think, because I think Leclerc is obviously a great driver as well.
Yeah.
So I think he's maximising what he's got under him. But
it's just hard as an F1 fan because whether you're whether you're a Ferrari fan or a Lewis fan or just an F1 fan, we all love the potential of that working. Like I think Lewis going to Ferrari was an exciting prospect, and I mean I am a Lewis fan. Like I'm
a massive Louis fan, but
it's not working at the moment, and nothing. Like he's even said that this year is going to be tough now, and unfortunately we're already seeing Lewis in the media pen from 2023, 2024. Like he's very similar to Lando in the pen, where he's like, it's me.
It's a British thing.
I'm just not. Oh yeah, now you're going to start a nationality war. But it's funny. Like he's at a point in his career though where he can be kind of like, you know what? Maybe he's run and done it, and he is actually looking at himself. I think more as maybe it's me, which is horrible because when you start to doubt yourself, you don't perform. And I think he's still got it, but he's not adapting. And the young kids now, Kimi Antonelli is pretty much on top of that car. He's very close to George. Isaac Hadjar's come in this year and doing an amazing job. The only one really I think is Bortoletto in the Saubers, probably not where I thought he'd be yet, given he's won F3 and F2 as a rookie, come in as a bit of a hot shot. But Lewis is struggling to adapt. Like Sainz is even on top of the Williams now. So the excuse of adapting to a car, it doesn't really fly. Even last year with...
especially like because all the sim time and stuff, like, Yeah, I agree.
There's no excuses there.
I agree. I don't.
And even last year, what's his name, who drives for Haas now, drove the Ferrari for one race and finished 7th last year.
Oh, Ollie Berman.
He equaled, at the same Grand Prix, he equaled Lewis's result this weekend, and he just jumped into the last minute phone call, come out of F2 and do this, please. And he did a great job.
Is it that much of a shitbox then? If anyone can jump in and finish there?
No, but I mean, I'm saying he got in and did exactly what Lewis is doing after being Lewis Hamilton and all the testing and sim work and everything in Formula One, in Ferrari. He is no further ahead than what Ollie Behrman was after one weekend out of F2. So maybe the way the cars are now, it has moved on, and it's hard to compare with Alonso because Alonso's teammate, I mean, arguably sucks, like with Stroll. It's kind of nowhere. So it makes Alonso still look maybe better than he is, but you put Alonso next to a Carlos Sainz or a Leclerc, maybe he's not there. Maybe he's very similar to where Lewis is at. And these cars have changed. Like the last few years, they are not what they used to be. Maybe they suit the younger guys more. The guys that are spending more time on the sim. And it's harder as an older guy to adapt.
Not a fuel car anymore, so it's just drive by numbers, which is all the young kids do now in sims, right? They go, oh yeah, just drive by numbers. They're not doing anything by feel.
Yeah, and it's different at supercars.
So
like when we say someone's getting older, I don't think you really lose it in supercars because the car doesn't really change. We're not going any faster. Like they are doing, like they're 4 seconds a lap, 5 seconds a lap. Some tracks faster than they used to be.
Yeah.
So I think at 40, that category in Formula One moves a lot. So I don't know. He's struggling. Disappointing. But Yuki versus Liam. Let's get onto that. I'm a Lewis fan, so bench that for a bit and let's hope it changes before the end of the year and he can start to turn the tables. But Yuki versus Liam is still a talking point.
You've put that Red Bull made the right choice.
Well, I love how you just throw me in that. That's meant to be private, Elliot.
Scott said Red Bull made the right choice. Why do you say that?
Well, only this year, I'm almost like, I think Red Bull will be regretting with getting rid of Perez. I think in hindsight, he wasn't doing such a bad job. But when you look at just this year, Yuki's qualifying results throughout the season so far have been 5th, 9th, 15th, which was an anomaly. He did match Max in Q1, was very close in Q2, but made a mistake on his second run and qualified 15th. But then 10th and 8th. Yuki is 1 second off, though, in Q3. So that's been a bit of a... I feel like Max is kind of just fucking amazing in Q3. Yeah. Liam's results, though, 18th, 20th, 17th, 16th, and 12th.
So no Q3s.
So no Q3s yet, but it is unfair in a way because when the Racing Bulls were strong, it was clear because Hadjar made Q3 at... China, I think it was.
Yep.
And so, but they haven't been as strong as that since. So when he qualified 12th, his last Grand Prix, he was ahead of Isaac Hadjar, which is great.
Yep.
But I think ultimately Yuki has got in and made Q3 2 out of the 3 races he's been in that car. He probably would have been 3 out of 3 immediately. So the stats don't lie. The only thing I would say is it's promising that that Liam turned the tables on Isaac and hopefully he can get some confidence back. And then Isaac, I just put in here, his qualifying results are 11th, 13th, 10th, 12th, and 9th. Not bad.
So he's progressively getting better.
He's doing a good job in qualifying. But Yeah, I think that Yuki has space to improve in Q3.
Yeah.
He's still a long way off, but fuck, maybe it is just Max. Maybe he's that. I don't know. Maybe he's the Grim Reaper as a teammate. Like he's just.
Well, it seems that way. We've
Taking
seen all
heads.
the memes where everyone up in the cloud like join us.
Yeah,
So,
join us, my friend. Can I always have another drink, mate?
You can, sir. What are you thinking?
Cummins, please, mate.
Copy.
Yes, so that's impressive. But the last Grand Prix, I did want to put in there because I do feel like Liam's had a beater. But I put in the actual times for Q2, and it was close. So Q1, Liam versus Isaac Hadjar at the last Grand Prix was a 28.5, 1 minute 28.5,
Yeah.
and Isaac Hadjar was a 1 minute 28.5 also. That was separated by a hundredth. But then in Q3, Liam did a good job, 28.1. And
Grab 2 tenths on him.
Isaac 28.4, so put 2 tenths on him,
Yeah, nice.
and that won't go unnoticed.
No.
Like that, the Red Bull will take note of that, and that's the kind of stuff he needs to do.
I've kind of got no doubt that it'll take, which he's into
check.
now, a couple of rounds for Liam just to bounce back a little bit.
Yeah, yep,
Shake off some of the rust, shake off some of the shit he's had to deal with,
yep.
get comfortable again, and I think he'll start to, he's got to work out Hadjar out as well as
Yep.
a teammate and stuff. So I reckon the next couple of GPs, I think Liam will start to shine.
Get his confidence back. And Murph did say as well, and I agree with him. I saw a lot of the comments saying though that maybe Liam isn't an Oscar, and that is unfortunately that's the world. That's reality. Maybe he's not, but I still think Murph he raised a very good point that he does need someone in his corner that can help him get focused on the right things, put his energy into the right areas, and get his confidence back.
Yeah.
George Russell,
Georgie
Mercedes. And we haven't done every driver. We'll just get through a few here. But George Russell, his contract ends at the end of the year. He's showing amazing leadership in that team.
I liked how aggressive he was at the start of the race too.
Yep.
Like he was off the start, he was moving, he was fighting, he was having a go. It was good.
Yeah, no, I think George has done an amazing job this year. I do think I put in their results.
You did Russell versus Kimi.
So finishing position for George, go ahead. You can do that if you found that already, mate.
No, I haven't found the
So
finish.
finishing results, GP. So this is where Russell's been impressive this year.
Yep.
Third, fifth, second, fifth, and in a car that arguably is not.
Yeah.
Like it's difficult. The Red Bull, I know it's just Max at the moment, but the Red Bull's still a good car, and the McLaren is very fast. I think even Lando tried to say in the post race that the Red Bull was quicker. Oscar disagreed. Was like, no, like I still think
I saw that.
I think we have the fastest car. But for George, it's kind of neck and neck. I think for Ferrari and Mercedes, I think George is ultimately outperforming the Ferrari more often than not. So doing a really good job as leader of that team.
Yep.
And he's 5-0 in qualifying. 1-0. I mean, he's literally. It sounds bad reading it, but he's beaten him in every opportunity. He's beaten his teammate, who is a rookie.
Yes.
So it's not fair to say.
I think you look at those figures there, mate, you'd have to say George is maximising because we know there's 2 McLarens that are the fastest car, let's say.
Yep.
And he's had third, fifth, okay, whatever happened at Japan, second and fifth. So most of the time he's either been the third car or the second car.
Yep.
So he's obviously maximising what he's got. But then you flip it over to Kimi Antonelli, same thing. He's a rookie and he's got 4th, 6th, 6th, 11th, 6th.
Yeah, I know.
So he's not that far behind. So I think,
I
yes,
think
George
Kimi's
is
doing a great
beating
job.
him, but far out, man. If I was a rookie, like you'd have to be pretty, like he's obviously going to be a star of the future.
Definitely. And it's. I was actually thinking this when I was putting these together today. In Formula One, these guys have been on the grid for no less than a season. Like you look at George now, he is a very experienced driver. So to actually say that a rookie might be underwhelming because he's not beating or matching his teammate is not fair. Like these guys are in very much the same car, and you're
Mate,
I
the
can hear
kid's-
my dog is going nuts
The
in the
kid's still
background.
doing school and he's got to deal with the F1 lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like
yep.
he was still doing his exams and stuff, and he's just been thrust into this world of being away 22 weekends a year, the
Exactly.
lifestyle, the pressure that would come with that, and he's 1 spot behind him on average.
I know, it's unreal. 2 seconds, I'm going to sort my dog out.
Go tell Snoop to shut up.
Let's get back to it, mate.
Cool. So where did we finish there? We were talking about Merc Battle. It's all good.
Yeah, I think that. I think that it's unfair with these rookies, and that's the thing with Bortoletto. Even it's early days. They got 25 Grand Prix. It's going to be interesting to see where they end up. But they're being compared, a lot of these rookies, against guys who are so experienced in arguably an identical car. It's very hard. Like even for Lawson to come in, he'd done a few one-off races, to come in and be compared against Max in Max's car.
Yes,
like it's
developed around.
You're in his wheelhouse.
His style. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I think Kimmy's doing a good job, because I was probably a little bit uncertain at the start. I thought his gap in qualifying is a bit, but then today, sitting down and going through the numbers, I'm like, well, to be fair, he's compared to George, who outperformed Lewis. Yeah. He's effectively one of the best drivers in the field at the moment in a car he's so familiar with. And you got an 18-year-old who is being tested even physically in race distances he's never done before. Like I saw him after that Saudi Grand Prix, and some of the drivers look wrecked.
You hear him on
as
the
an
radio.
18-year-old, yeah.
He's like puffed on the radio too. Like that's what I mean. I just think, like far out, just what he's been thrown into as such a young kid, physically, mentally. Like it's actually hard to comprehend.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here thinking, just the travel alone, you'd be knackered.
Yeah.
You know,
Imagine being in school and going in for your meeting with the guidance counsellor, and they say, look, what are you going to do with your life? I think you should, have you tried a trade, or,
you want to be a plumber, mate, or what about an electrician, or do you want to go into office work? What are you thinking?
I'm going to try this race car driver thing. I think it's
Toto's
work.
just called me. I've actually just signed a deal with Mercedes F1 team, so I'm actually going to be okay.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Like these guys they're kids, and
wild.
Yeah, so he's doing good, and the Williams battle has been good to watch.
Yeah, I reckon that's one I'm most keen to, because I really rate Carlos Sainz, and likewise also Albon.
Yeah.
Like I think Albon, that was that era where everyone was getting chopped left, right, and centre in the second car at Mercedes.
It's a long time ago, and it's still happening.
Kvyat got the arse, Albon got the arse. Everyone was just getting the arse. So, I think everyone in F1's obviously really good, but I think Williams actually have picked up two really good drivers there. So I'm keen to see how that plays out over the season. I personally think Carlos is probably going to get the edge over the year. Is just my vibe.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I agree. It's been interesting so far, because I'm with you. Like I'm so curious as to how Albon stacks up against Carlos, because he's dominated his teammates. But I mean, one thing I did hear though, which he's not had amazing teammates, but I did hear that Logan Sargent beat Jack Doohan in the F2 Championship, I believe, in the first.
Probably, I don't know, yeah.
So I'm like, okay, like Jack's in F1 now. I mean, Logan copped a really hard time through F1 and was booted real quick. But he's now got a good teammate, and there's no doubt over Sainz, and especially compared to even Leclerc. Like, he would be matching him or ahead of him at the moment in the Ferrari, given last year, and you see where where Lewis is compared to him.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen this before for Albon. And in the past, even when we go back, I watched a podcast with Albon the other day, and he was actually the closest driver, I think, other than Ricardo.
Yeah, to Max.
Yeah. So he was let go very early. And this is where, Red Bull, I think they love to say that the worst thing you can do is compare yourself to Max because he's so good. But then they don't really take that into account when they deal with, they chop people. So it's like they know how great he is, but then they will give a guy a half a season. I mean, Albon came in almost as a rookie against Max. And it's not fair. And so now we'll see him, he's rebuilt his career and he's up against a good teammate. And I think that the last Grand Prix, particularly in Saudi, Carlos was much quicker, but he was told to hang back to help Albon with DRS so that he didn't get past.
Gotcha.
Create a DRS train and protect your teammate.
Yep.
Sainz didn't seem that happy about that. Yeah. But it's
well, you wouldn't if you felt like you'd get further up the road. You'd be like, no, I want to go.
Yeah, exactly. And he wanted to be closer to Hamilton. But double points finish for Williams is good. It's going to be a battle though that I don't know who comes out on top. I'm with you though. My money is on Sainz.
Yeah.
It's 3-2 in favour of Albon in qualifying, but that again that's unfair because when you're only looking at 5 Grand Prix as your data and Sainz has never driven before, he starts with a disadvantage to Albon. So it's always going to be in favour, I think, at this point. Check back in mid-season and see, I reckon, I think Sainz might have him.
I agree. We got Doohan versus Gasly.
Yeah. General consensus is...
I mean, Gasly's... And he's going to smoke Doohan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he is. It's nothing against Jack. Gasly's been around a long time. He's far more experienced. That's just going to happen. I mean, he kind of has got nowhere near him in quali. I mean, so Gasly's got...
Especially lately.
14th, 16th, 11th, 5th, 8th. So Gasly has found a gear the last 2 GPs and he's in those Q3s. And then you got Jack 18th, 18th, 19th, 14th, 17th.
Yeah, I think that last one in Saudi is the one that really hurts. Like, I think the 14th in Bahrain, I remember seeing an interview with Jack, and he felt like he had an opportunity to make Q3, made a little mistake, and that can happen. Like with Yuki, you go, okay, potential's there. The last one in Saudi, 17th, when your teammate's 8th, is big. And for Gasly to back it up, I think Gasly scored 6 points so far in the championship, which in that car is pretty good because it's not that competitive.
Has he got 6 points, has he?
Gasly has, yeah, I believe, when I was looking at the title. So I'll go back up.
I've only got him once in top 10.
No, that's qualifying.
No, race results I'm looking at.
So Pierre Gasly is in 11th in the standings and he's scored 6 points.
Okay.
I mean, maybe my data's wrong, mate.
I don't know what I'm looking at here, but that's...
I am no expert here, mate. I may have got that wrong, the stats, but he has scored 6 points. He's 11th in the title. That is true.
That's for fact.
Maybe I got his race results wrong there, but his qualifying results are 5th and 8th for the last 2 Grand Prix, and I think that is almost it's not the nail in the coffin because it is 5 Grand Prix, but we've heard that the rumour is Jack had a 6-race contract, was what I heard at the start of the season from someone that's close to him.
Yeah, because they were talking like 3.
Yeah.
At the start, like around the Oz GP time, like he's got to be within 3 tenths over the next.
Well, after Suzuka, they were like,
3 GP.
Maybe it's now.
And so, I mean, I hope Jack obviously sees out the year and starts to hit his straps and get the results that he wants. But to be honest, I'm kind of surprised he's still in, just from what the chatter was. I mean, it's all just rumours and people talking shit, obviously. So there's
Bahrain, Gasly got 7th. Sorry.
No,
thank you, Olex, in our chat. But yeah, you're right, mate. I don't know. The chat was 3. I had heard from someone that was close to Jack that it was a 6-race contract. Yeah. We're coming up on that. Miami is next, and that will be round 6. Unbelievable. They've raced in 6 different countries in like such a short period of time. It makes you realise what level F1 is on, the scale of it. You know, for us, obviously in supercars, we can't complain because the cost of air freight, like it's just ridiculous that they can fly to every country, and it's not comparable. It's not fair to compare, I think, in what we're doing. Like, there's certainly things we could do better here in Australia with Supercars calendar, but
their infrastructure's huge, mate.
It's insane.
They've got 3 sets that are always just leapfrogging each other to the next venue. So
it's a beast. And even I heard that Lewis Hamilton left a message in the container in the Euro driver's room for Kimi Antonelli, and he won't get to see that until they get back to the European rounds.
Right.
And the message, you know, he's looking forward to seeing the message, but it's crazy to think that they've got that many different assets that they ship around that he doesn't actually get to see the message until he gets back to the European rounds. And Formula One it's a beast. It is fucking massive. And that's where I do hope that Australia does start to realise, like, Oscar, you don't pick the paper up and read about Oscar every day. And I think we should. Like, it's one of the only world championships in the world. Yeah. Like, outside the Olympics, it's really track and field that get world championships. But even like the NBA and stuff, they call themselves world champions. But there's not many.
North America, yeah.
There's really not many. And we've got a driver who is on the world stage, and he's young.
Everyone should be backing him.
He looks like an accountant. He's a chiller. He doesn't have emotion, but he has a very cool personality. Yeah, I hope that. Yeah, even us talking about it, the more people can get behind him, the better, because it's very exciting. And I do hope that Jack, I hope it's not a 6-race contract and he gets longer, because we talk about rookies, and Gasly's in Formula 1 forever. Like, he's been around, and to match him is a tall ask. To even get close to him is hard.
It's crazy to think that, I think we've mentioned it in the Murph pod, but it's crazy to think that we've got 3 people from this side of the world, being New Zealand and Australia, in Formula 1 when there's only 20 seats.
Yeah.
The population between Australia and New Zealand is so small compared to...
We're talking like just over 30 million probably between the two.
You know, and the fact, and the number of people that actually are involved in motorsport is so small. You know, it's not the number 1 sport in Australia or New Zealand. So it's wild. So everyone should be getting behind all 3 boys. And yeah, so Jack and Liam, hopefully, Oscar's obviously killing it. He'll continue to do so. Hopefully the other boys can get up and get some good results too. Yeah.
Oscar, come on our podcast at the end of the year. If you're world champion...
I think you have to, because you're a quad lock ambassador. So
yeah, exactly. Anyway, there's our pod, mate. It's a catch up. We've done 5 Formula 1 Grand Prix now. Unfortunately, we missed a couple because of travel, but we wanted to do a recap because they have got a little break. 5th of May is the next Grand Prix, and
Miami would be cool.
Yeah, fuck. It looks that would be a fun one to go to.
I've been to Miami. It's a fun place. Like,
Yeah, right.
yeah, just the partying and the music and the dancing and yeah, no, it'd be cool.
And the dancing, you get your boot scoot on. But there you go. If you want to,
salsa.
I know I've seen it. I've seen it. Actually, your 2-step's pretty good. If you want to watch our podcast live, join our Patreon. We've got a couple giveaways that we've just started. The Ambrose one in the background there.
Yep.
We've got another DJ kit that we'll be giving away next month.
I've got some Shure headphones coming that we're going to give away to the Patreon members. They're really cool. So we'll I'll bring them in for the next pod we do, and we'll showcase them as well. So we've got a couple of sets of them.
Very
which
nice.
will be awesome.
We never say it either, but subscribe to our YouTube if you would like. I saw only 5% of people have subscribed to it. Well, I think we've got 15 or 16,000 subs, but only 5% of our viewers are subbed. So turn your notifications on. If you can, support the sponsors that keep us around, and we will see you next time for episode 48.
Can't wait. Thanks, guys.
Good night.